Guys, I have something so special for you today. It's going to be part 1 of what's going to be a 4-video saga of one of the craziest stories we might have covered on the channel. It involves OP, who's a 35-year-old female and just finds out that her longtime husband has been a dirty cheater, lying about going to work trips all so he could be with his mistress. Well, OP finds out, and mass chaos is about to happen. I just want to tell you my story and maybe get some input. I'm 37 female, accidentally found out last month my husband was using work trips as an excuse to sleep with his also married coworker, who lives across the country. When I say accidentally, he sent me a screenshot of Amazon purchases for our children, and included at the bottom of the photo was a delivery to this woman. So yes, the worried wife and me checked his search history and email. It was all right there. I learned his November trip was a romantic getaway, but this current one is luxurious. A spa resort complete with couple massages, couple cooking classes, and monogrammed bathrobes from Etsy. He mailed her a box of gifts a few days ago for Christmas. How sweet. He purchased sexy lingerie, sent her money on Venmo, and even started planning a January trip to Las Vegas. I was furious when I learned all this, but I kept my composure. So, here's my plan. He left this morning for his quote work trip, but before he left, I gathered all the evidence of his affair. I spent 4 weeks collecting emails, credit card statements, reservations, confirmations, you name it. I wrote him a 10-page letter, but put in the envelope, taped it inside the lining of his suitcase. I plan on sending a group text to him and his mistress right after check-in telling them to enjoy their trip. I'll also inform them that a letter's waiting in their suitcase and I want a divorce. I wrote a special little section just for her, and I want to make sure she sees it, so I'll be emailing her the letter as well. He is currently in the air in the sky. My group text goes out this evening. Stay tuned. Update. His flight landed 1.5 hours ago. He told me he would text me when he landed, and he's yet to do so. I've texted him twice. They were delivered but not read. I checked our phone records, and he texts both me and her during his layover. His email shows no Uber receipts from his final destination airport to his hotel. She must have picked him up. Something I probably should have clarified in my OP is she lives in the state he's visiting, so he flew alone. I'll be sending a group text to both him and his mistress in 2 hours, as that'll be 4 p.m. their time and check-in. Update number 2. Okay, sent pictures of our children and he did not respond. For your information, he's in the middle of the desert. My texts are going through green, which puts a monkey wrench in my plan for a group text to him and his mistress. Need suggestions? Should I just call the hotel? Connect right to their room? I don't know. I work so hard for this. It has to be tonight. Help. Update number 3. Thank you to everyone standing by and waiting. My best friend has come to my house to help me through this. It seems my texts are going through green, which means undelivered, but when my friend tried it, it's blue and delivered. He blocked me. I guess that helps his guilt. The plan now is to call the hotel. We'll wait a few minutes after check-in to make the call. Very soon. Please stand by. Update number 4. Well, like most of you predicted, he doesn't care. He had 0 answers for my questions. That was the most hurtful part. But guess what? I have all the emotional support and economic support, so I'm not even mad. Every question I asked, he had no response because his mistress was sitting there. I suspect when he's home alone with me, his answers will be oh so much different. I've made sure that he'll not emotionally and financially duck me because I have secured support from my family and friends. He can go duck himself. Update number 5. Well, I called his hotel room, talked to his mistress, and finally lost my shit. He ended up calling me a few minutes later and had 0 empathy. I'm shocked, but I'm not. He said a divorce was in order and fought me on nothing. I expected him to be sad, which he was not. but that's okay. I started packing up his shit. I have some great friends who have helped me put everything in the garbage. Good riddance. I guess so. The morning after. I wake this morning broken. My house is in shambles as I went on a rampage yesterday, ripping photos off the wall, throwing his stuff in piles on the floor, and breaking random objects in pure anger. Now that I've had a night's sleep, I feel that I'm a bit clear in my mind and my thinking as I analyze the quote conversation we had yesterday. He was different on the phone. That was not the man I know, but who was the man I've known? Because everything was simply a lie. The only thing he cared about on the phone was getting the children, which is perfectly okay. He should want to see his children. But he refused to answer any questions I had or admit to anything. I personally feel his lack of remorse was because he was sitting in front of his mistress. If I confronted him at home, this would have not been the same reaction. When he comes home Monday night, I expect to see a different man. Also, in my conversation with the mistress, I learned she's recently separated. I called my mother. That was hard. While she and Dad have always been loving and supporting, it was hard to make that phone call. I felt like a failure. I know it wasn't my doing, but to admit that I made a poor choice in a spouse was difficult. Was this all because of a mistake I made 13 years ago? Honestly, it doesn't matter now. I have 2 days to empty my house of his stuff. Who do I tell? Do I call his dad? Do I tell his mother? Best friend, work buddies? I wish there was a manual of how to do this because I'm lost. Even with all my preparation, I'm still humiliated. Luckily, he did not take his house keys when he left, so no need to change the locks. I'll be removing his keys and sending him on his little way. I don't plan on seeing him when he gets home Monday night. Doors are locked, everything you own's in the garage, have your people talk to my people, and I'll never see you again. Well, here's the next update, guys, and Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying this saga, as part 1 is this video, and there's 4 exciting parts to this entire story, and it just keeps getting increasingly more dramatic. Guys, we're about to prepare for the return of the husband. So, here it is. My friends and family have been wonderful. I'm so fortunate to have such great people in my life. Yesterday, they came to help me move all his clothing to the garage. His collectibles, well, they were all packed up and sitting here, waiting to be appraised. It took a very long time and I was exhausted afterwards, but it was necessary. I honestly don't think he expects me to have gone so much great lengths to remove him from my life, but here I am. Because, well, I was so emotional when I confronted him, there's a chance that he thinks I'll want to reconcile. Fat chance, buddy. His flight lands a little bit before 10 p.m. tonight. When he Ubers back home, the doors will be locked. He told me on the phone he was just getting his car and leaving. I'll be holding him to that, something I should have mentioned earlier. The house is in my name only. He had no credit when we first started looking, so everything is in my maiden name and purchased by me. Health insurance, car insurance, cell phones, utilities, all in my name. The only thing in his name, well, it's his car. I think he realizes now what could come back to bite him. I don't want a messy divorce. I'm willing to listen to his demands and try to meet in the middle on so many things as possible. He obviously doesn't care anymore, so I'm going to do my best to not care and treat this like a business deal. Update. The dust has settled. It's been a few days since his return. For a man who was so diligently planning a secret retreat with his mistress, he took no time to plan for his return home. He's been living in the basement since Monday, and I allowed him to watch the children open gifts on Christmas, but he has since returned to the basement. We've contacted 3 mediators and have an appointment next week to start the mediation process. It's obviously over. We had a conversation/argument upon his return, and he actually asked about reconciliation. I laughed uncontrollably. Of course, he pushed blame, stating that our marriage has been off for a little bit of time. Well, that's news to me. His actions of an affair was selfish and avoidant. He did not want to have the hard conversation with me about counseling or divorcing, and this route was just easier and, well, a lot more fun. Let's face it, he likes the attention of two women loving and pinning over him. Well, I'm no longer playing that game. She wins. Oh, what a prize he is. I've been amicable about talking about the terms of our separation. My biggest hang-up is her. He may continue seeing her, and I have questions about her character. What kind of woman or mother cheats with a man she knows is married and knows he has children? When I confronted her on the phone last Saturday and asked her the question, she was silent. I asked if she was sorry, and it was as if the line went dead. That kind of person I do not want around my children. People who show no remorse, especially when they know they're wrong and are not kind people. I found solace in friends and family, and thanks to everyone for recommendation of The Chump Lady. I'm halfway through the book. Read through the website and find it so helpful. Thank you again to everyone. I can't believe the outpouring support. To the trolls, though, sorry you think I'm an unfit and inattentive wife. But cheaters cheat because they want to. Thank you again to all. Not sure if you want a mediation update or if my story's over. Either way, I'm happy to have, quote, met you all. Next update, where's the fault? If you listen to the books and advice always given about cheaters, it all says the same thing. It's not you. They made a choice. My soon-to-be ex insisted things were bad. Well, I don't think we were Pam and Jim or Lucy and Ricky. I think things were good. This process has made me review who I am, who I've been, and who I want to be. Could I have made changes? Yes. Was I perfect? Absolutely not. But my decisions and actions were never detrimental to our marriage. They were more like sacrifices. And now I'm having those sacrifices thrown at me and I'm being called neglectful. Is all this about attention? A narcissistic needs to be the apple of someone's eye? Him and the affair partner are now blissfully in the honeymoon stage. Vacations, late-night phone calls like teenagers, present buying, etc. But what happens when the other shoe drops? What happens when she sees that he has very little patience with children? That he'll walk past a sink full of dishes completely blind to them when he doesn't pay the phone bill for 2 months because he's spending money on silly gadgets? What then? Well, it's not my problem. I'm sure his affair partner will take issue with these things. Perhaps then she'll be put in a situation I've been for a decade. Should she be the glue and hold it all together, or should she neglect responsibilities for his neediness? Well, I've been told by him that I'm at fault. Perhaps, but what about the decades of cleaning up your messes? Maybe if I would have had 2-hour conversations with him every night, things would have been different, but to be honest, I'm happy I'm here. Now reflecting back, I see how underappreciated I was, how neglected I was. All these years I've thought I was helping, but I was really being taken advantage of. And this affair is no different. Next update, mediation and the move. We had our first mediation appointment via Zoom yesterday. It was very amicable, but only because I don't want to fight and I just want this to be over. He apparently wants nothing. Not the house, not the furniture, not what he's entitled to of my pension. He just wants to be done. As I've been packing up things in the house to declutter, I've been offering him stuff, but he wants nothing. I suspect the moment our marriage is dissolved, he'll be packing up his collectibles and clothing and driving across the country to live with her. I guess I should be okay with this, and I don't want to be married to him anymore. It just kills me that he'll be moving in with her and helping her raise her 2 children while mine are fatherless. It makes me so angry, seething. The man who was abandoned by his father is now doing the same damn thing. Something he said he would never, ever let happen because of the mental issues it's given him till today. Well, it looks like that, as well as mostly everything else, was a lie. Again, I take solace in the fact that their honeymoon phase will be short-lived. Reality will smack both them in the face, and she will realize that he can be more hurt than help. While I wish him well and hope the best, our kids deserve him more than just a Christmas or Easter or 1 week summer with their father. No dad at basketball games, no dad at Cub Scouts, no dad at birthday parties, school plays, you name it. Meanwhile, a fair partner will have him and her children's biological father. I guess nothing in life is fair, and my boys will have to learn that lesson early. Much earlier than I hoped. Next update, he's gone. My soon-to-be ex left yesterday morning to visit her. I told him to go. I didn't want to spend New Year's Eve with him, and our COVID circle friends who we celebrate with have zero interest in seeing him either. He booked a flight 30 minutes after I told him to go. My only stipulation was that he's back for his weekend as it's my birthday, and I really need a day to myself. I've watched the kids for 3 weekends now while he went to see his mistress. I thought I'd at least deserved my birthday to relax, but he texted me while he was boarding that he won't be home for my birthday. Well then, he claims when he booked this, he booked a return for the evening of my birthday. When he tried to change it, it was put on standby. It'll now cost him $1,000 to change it. It was a red eye, blah blah blah. The excuses just kept coming. He apparently does not realize I have access to the internet as well, and the flights are less than $300 with the airline he flew. I told him this, and he said those flights weren't even there when he booked. Lies. And he said he'll take care of it. I just want him to be honest for once. If you don't want to be here for my birthday, just say it. If you don't want to spend the day with your children, just tell me. I can't force you to be a father. I told him the flights were available and affordable. It's his choice to rebook. Ball is in your court. That's all I can do, right? Stay tuned for an update on his return this weekend. Next update, New Year's Eve nightmare. It was 12:40 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and there was still no call from him. I was angry for no other reason than I explained to the kids that even though Daddy wasn't with us, he would call us at midnight to talk to them and wish them a happy new year. I was made to be a liar. So I texted my soon-to-be ex, and his excuse was, quote, "They are with their friends. I don't want to bother them." Excuse me? Bother them? You mean you did not want your kids to bother you, is what you're really saying? If I was across the country on New Year's Eve without my children, I would have called and done that countdown with them via FaceTime. I think most parents would have, but not him. He said, "If you would have told me that you told the kids I'd call them, then I would have." He tried to spin this on me, that I created this big mess. Why do I have to tell you that you need to call your children at midnight? This small act said a lot to me. Our children are not a priority. I guess he did not want to ruin his perfect vacation at his new girlfriend's house with her children. He has a nice new family now. Today's my birthday, and he returns this evening. I told him in my New Year's Eve text that I will speak to him on the 12th, our next mediation meeting, because I'm done. I tried to be civil for the children, but he's not putting forth the effort for them. Update. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The past few days have been strange. We rarely talk, a decision on both our parts, and when we do, it's about mediation, plans moving forward, the children, etc. We've been civil and communicating well about these items. We're also friendly in front of the children as to not upset them. The situation's strange because we are getting along. There's no arguing. It's shared focus to just get through the mediation and divorce. That's fine by me. Last night, I was cleaning the kitchen when I heard him on the phone in the basement. I guess he did not realize the door was left creeped open by one of the children. Not wanting to be a part of the drama anymore, I went to close the door. At that point, I heard him tell her how crazy I've been acting. Excuse me, we don't speak, and when we do, it's very civil. How is that even crazy? Well, he proceeded to tell her about a conversation we had, and he lied about everything. While the conversation part was true, he told her I exploded. I was enraged. I was crying, etc., and none of that was true. He explained how he laughed in my face at my rage, and also not true because there's no rage. So, I had told him a while back before New Year's Eve debacle that I would start dating eventually, and he proceeded to tell her that I was bragging about guys I'm meeting. So far from the truth. I slammed the basement door, and I'm sure he knows I heard. So I ask, why the need to lie and make me a villain? We aren't staying together. I have no reason to fight with you anymore. That's why we are paying a mediator. Why start lying to your new little girlfriend that you so much love? How is that a good way to start a relationship? I don't know what is happening here. This is my concern. This woman and him are in love and want to start a life together. Okay, that's fine. Hunky-dory. Whatever. But this woman only knows me by the stories, which I assume are all lies, that he's told her about me. If he does move across the country to be with her, how can I trust a woman who hates me because of misinformation to treat my children poorly? I don't care if she hates me personally. I still sleep fine at night, but now I'm worried about sending my kids on the summer to stay with them. I want to confront him about this, but I know I can't. Maybe it's not that I can't, but I don't know how. Also, he has told no one we are separated, and definitely has not told people why. How come? You initiated this, you cheated, you're happy now, so why can't you tell people? He told his father that he was bringing the children alone to visit him because he and I weren't seeing eye to eye at the moment. What? I would assume he's afraid to face the music or is just finding comfort in the little love bubble that he's created. He chose not to face reality. He's yet to look for an apartment for when we do divorce, but has booked another flight out to see her for Valentine's Day. He's refusing to face reality, and it's so frustrating. Updates, mediation, and empty promises. Alright, so yesterday was our second mediation appointment. While it was amicable, there was some obvious tension. The tension was not on my end, but more on his. Let me explain. During our first mediation, we brought up the topic that he might move out of state. At yesterday's meeting, I asked what he would do about custody if he moves to this particular state. When I mentioned the state by name, the mediator was confused. This prompted her to ask him why the state that's so far away. His answer? Well... Then silence. Said nothing more. He could not put into words the fact that he was leaving to be with his girlfriend. I had to finally chime in, realizing we're paying by the hour, that he was moving to be with his new girlfriend. I realized later that was the first time he had semi-confessed to having an affair and a girlfriend to anybody. If you love this person so much, why can't you just say it out loud? That whole situation just confuses me. Anyways, when it comes to dollars and cents, I'll be fine. He'll also be fine. He'll have enough to do what he needs, and so will I. We have agreed to a physical custody scenario that allows him weekends and dinner visits. Fine by me. I want my boys to have their father. But the situation becomes a bit more difficult when he moves. While he said yesterday he plans to stay here at least a year, I doubt that'll actually happen. When he does move across the country, he wishes to return for one weekend of every month to see the boys. Again, I'm fine with this scenario, but where will he stay that weekend? He has no family. Will he just be taking the boys to a hotel? Again, I don't think he actually thought this through. This is a problem I/we will tackle when he does decide to move. Lastly, the mediator said I could take about 2 months to finalize everything. He and I spoke about the session to go over some facts and figures, and I brought up the paper finalization date of our marriage. I told him how 2 months is a good amount of time to save money and find an apartment, to which he agreed. I also reminded him about his promise to not return to visit her until our divorce is finalized or he has a place to live. He quickly became frustrated, telling me that he knew and tried shutting down the conversation. I told him I'm happy that we're on the same page, but I'm not budging. If you leave while you're still living here, you cannot come back. This is something we both agreed to. Now, the big question remains. Who does he break a promise with? Obviously, it's a win-win for me. Stay home and help me with the children while you save $500 plus, and move out quickly, or leave to visit her and I get you out sooner. I'm happy with either decision. I just want to move on with my life and enjoy my moments with my children. Survival continues. Next update. If you're still reading, yes, my saga/survival continues. Our final mediation papers will arrive this week. We were able to settle everything at the last meeting on 1/12, and the documents just need our signature. After that, the divorce papers need to be served and filed with the county. Then, we await our court date, which will be done via Zoom. Yeah, it's a bit anticlimactic, but it'll serve its purpose of divorcing. He started, finally, to look for an apartment, but nothing is to his satisfaction. Maybe he's being picky, or maybe he's comfortable living in the basement, I don't know, but either way, once the divorce papers are stamped, he needs to be gone. He started making phone calls to her during the day, and I can hear him giggling downstairs. I'm happy he's happy. I really am. That isn't passive-aggressive. I know I'll be happy one day too. He just got there first, and that's okay. I feel like my life is in limbo right now. I can't move forward because I'm chained to the past. I'm hoping his move will be soon, and I suspect he wants out by February 1st, so he can visit her for Valentine's Day. I hope for his sake and mine that he makes his deadline. I'll update you guys again after I receive the paperwork and divorce papers are served. I'm sure that'll stir up a lot of thought and emotion, so I'm certain it'll be a doozy. Till then, I'll keep doggy paddling. Update: souvenirs. If you've been following along, then you know that there's a chance he would leave for Valentine's Day to go visit her. Well, he left this morning. He told the kids I'm going as he walked out the door, leaving me to explain a few hours later that he had to leave for work when they started asking for him. I've learned that I can't have expectations. Just because I would try to be more honest with the kids doesn't mean he would. I was really proud of the fact that I did not even engage him in the discussion/argument of going. Yes, I had loudly vocalized some feelings a week ago when he told me he was going, but I've not engaged about him since. All I asked was his flight info so I would know when to expect him back. He did not provide this information. Maybe he thinks I'm not entitled to it, but either way he left and I was fine. While we had the conversation multiple times, in which he agreed that he would not visit her again till he had his own apartment. Shocker. He claims that he has every right to be here, which he does legally, and he can do as he pleases. He put a down payment on an apartment a few days ago, but says he doesn't know when he's moving in. What? The bills he pays in the house are less than the child support he'll have to pay, so I think his decision to stay longer might be a financial one. I've offered him any piece of furniture he wants in the house. I even offered to pay for 1/2 of the cost of bunk beds for the boys. I just need him to leave. I have no idea why he's dragging his feet, but I learned through a mutual friend and former work colleague of theirs, and that she's recently had COVID. When I say recently, I mean the Board of Health from her state said she could stop quarantining 3 days ago. But what about her kids that are in the home? Where are they living during the quarantine? Are they positive? Perhaps they're asymptomatic. Will my soon-to-be ex be bringing me and our children home COVID souvenir? I'm livid. Update: COVID insensitivity. Let me start from the beginning. My soon-to-be ex left for his getaway on February 12th and did not return until the 15th. During his blissful vacation, my family and I suffered a great loss of one of our most beloved members to COVID. I was a mess. Everyone I loved was devastated. I called my soon-to-be ex on February 13th and told him the prognosis was not good. It was loud where he was. There were children yelling. He informed me he was outside with her kids. Wow, can't remember the last time he took our children outside, but I digress. I should have expected him to care about my bad news. Well, He did have concerns, so I guess there's still a decent bone somewhere in him. That concern would not last long, though. Upon his return, as he usually does, he schedules a COVID test. He scheduled one for 4 days after his return, but due to snow in our area, he didn't go. This I understand, the weather cannot be controlled. Then he told me he rescheduled for 4 days later, and then he does not go to that either. When I questioned him, his response was, "I feel fine." I suspected since she probably got a negative COVID test shortly before his arrival, he felt safe in not getting one. Not until Monday, March the 1st, did he finally get a test, a full 2 weeks later. Why? You know, my family just suffered a terrible loss to COVID. How could you be so reckless and insensitive? The insensitive question is rhetorical. I obviously know the answer already. Next update, the real monster. The day's approaching. Large boxes are being delivered to the house daily, containing a new furniture to be assembled. The sounds of packing tape being ripped from the spool flood the house every evening. He's moving out. I'm overjoyed. I'm so happy that I've actually started engaging him in conversation. Yes, we have a chat to figure out child support and scheduling, but now I'm ecstatic he's leaving. I've even asked him about his move. I feel like a kid at Christmas. While we were discussing his move, what he would be taking from the home and the schedule for seeing the children, I asked if he planned to visit her. No, this wasn't me prying. We need to set an overnight and weekend schedule for the kids, and I was hoping to be accommodating to any trips he had planned. But then my curiosity got the best of me, but for a good reason. Our children. I asked if she plans to come here to meet the kids. He replied in the affirmative and said she may come. Well, good for you both, but I would like to meet her before she meets the children. He went silent. I could tell he was rolling thoughts around in his head, or perhaps trying to figure out a way out of this situation, but he came up empty. He honestly just wanted to know why I needed to meet her. Excuse me, come again. You really think I would let my children spend time with someone I didn't know? I'm the mother that interviews babysitters. Why would you think I would not want to meet her? He claims to be worried that I won't be civil, but he knows me better than that. I have nothing to gain being rude to her. It's just ammo. I refuse to play that game. Plus, why would I care? I don't want him. That's your prize now, honey. Congratulations. But he recognizes that he can't stop me in this. I have every right to meet her, as he would meet someone I'm dating. When it comes to children, he and we can't keep secrets. I think the real concern about us meeting is this. She'll realize I'm not the horrible monster he made me out to be. His plans of assassinating my character to build himself up or to receive pity from her, and the constant gaslighting will be revealed. She'll see that I'm not pinning him over anything, quarreling with him, and that I'm genuinely a good person. Maybe she'll see that he might be the real monster. Next update, like father, like son. My soon-to-be ex was quiet, more quiet than usual, almost sulking. I don't understand his motivations anymore and what he actually cares about, so I left it alone. Not my business to care and comfort anymore, right? That evening, after the children went to bed, he sat alone at the dining room table. It was as if he was waiting for me to address him. I did not. Sulk, that's your issue, not mine. After he received no attention from me, he made the big announcement. He claims he told everyone what happened between us, including his father. Then oddly enough, he started to cry. Full ugly tears. I thought these tears were of embarrassment and shame. He then proceeded to tell me the conversation he had with his father was the first time his dad has actually acted like a father towards him. While that statement in itself is unsettling, it is also confusing. I'm guessing his father supported him. I know this was my son, I'd support him, but also have some strong words about how he went about this and how he should probably proceed in the future. But it looks like he's received 100% support. So, while I understand, I don't understand. Something was wrong here. Last week was my youngest son's birthday. I've been asking my soon-to-be ex if he would like to invite his father over for cake. He texted him several times with no response. He learned through the conversation/confession last night that his father was in another state for work. Okay, understandable, but here's the kicker. He went away with a new girlfriend he's dating. Why is this strange, you ask? He just asked his wife of 30 years for a divorce after the end of January, so this makes me think, is adultery a learned behavior? My father-in-law abandoned my soon-to-be ex when he was 9 years old, the same age as my eldest son now. Is there a pattern here, or is this just a crazy coincidence? I could not help myself. I messaged my mother-in-law. She confirms they were divorcing, and I asked if there was any infidelity, and she claims to her knowledge, no. But I know better. She said that my father-in-law started to withdraw from her. He started picking fights for no reason and avoided interacting with her the last fall. Then, in January, he said he wants a divorce so that he could, quote, find himself. Yeah, a man in his 60s, close to retirement, needs to find himself. Sounds like a cop-out to me. But now that I've learned there's another woman, which my mother-in-law does not know, I understand that this bloodline of men are truly selfish and unfit partners. Final update of Part 1. Moving trucks and some spilled tea. Well, guys, it happened. Finally, he's gone. My basement's so empty and quiet it echoes. The day he moved, a box truck pulled up to my house and my children ran to the window to watch. I didn't know how to distract them as I was working. I was about to pull them away from the window with the promise of treats once they were at the table to do schoolwork. My youngest, though, would simply not budge. After 45 minutes of loading, the truck pulled away and my soon-to-be ex drove off. My youngest came away from the window looking sad, and I immediately talked to him and tried to comfort him. After a few moments, he asked, "Is the truck coming back?" I was confused. I told him that they were staying here, and no one else was moving. Apparently, he wasn't upset that his dad was leaving, he just wanted the truck. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I've made appointments with a child therapist for both my children. While they seem fine now, I'm not sure what the future holds for their mental state. I'm afraid this will be repressed and issues will arise down the road. His friends have been reaching out to me. Now they, quote, know what happened. I'm getting texts and Facebook messages asking how I'm doing. I know in reality they're just being nosy. They may care a little, but they just want some of my spilt tea. Well, I'll put the kettle on. I wasn't surprised to learn that my soon-to-be ex was completely honest with them. He failed to mention traveling during a pandemic to visit her. I guess that would make him look reckless, selfish. Ugh, idiotic. The wives of his friends are in shock. They considered my soon-to-be ex a friend that could be trusted, a man who had his stuff together. Basically, they trusted my soon-to-be ex would be a good influence on their husbands. Oh boy, they were wrong. Concerning my mother-in-law, no, I've not told her. This is because I don't have any real information. What I did tell her, though, was that due to some investigating to see if he's having an affair, this would be to her benefit as her state has adultery laws. They're still legally married and living in the same house, so to my knowledge the law applies. But she seems hesitant. I think she's afraid to find out the truth, and then she has to look at him every single day. This I understand. No person, spouse, should have to experience that. I know it was gut-wrenching for me, and perhaps many of you listening can relate to as well. I just want to be the one to tell her. Perhaps this is because I'm still upset and had to find out on my own, and my soon-to-be ex was too much of a coward to come clean. Why should a cheating spouse get the thrill of cheating and be relieved of the burden of having to confess? Guys, that was part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel so you can see part 2, which will be coming out tomorrow. I do want to look at a couple comments, and surprisingly, they're not probably what you think they were. This is the first one. Okay, I'm reading this whole thing thinking, nobody's a villain in their story. But reading between the lines, I can understand why he left. Don't get me wrong, cheating is never okay, but she's really playing the upscorned woman with a stiff upper lip trope. Then the next one says, while I don't support cheating, dude made the right call by escaping. He just should have done it in a better manner. So guys, let me know. Does this warrant his cheating? The fact that maybe OP was a little off, if you were to say? Drop your thoughts down below. In my opinion, I don't ever think cheating is the right decision. But also, a lot of comments are saying, hey, I can kind of see why he needed to get away from this chick. She's crazy. Well, I guess we'll find out in Update 2, Update 3, and Update 4 just how crazy she is.